Hello, I'm Paul Douglas. In this video, in my series of videos about guitar soloing, we're going to be taking a look at rhythmic variation, something that I think is often overlooked in guitar solos but is very, very important. What do I mean by rhythmic variation? Well, probably best to illustrate this by use of an example. So, I'm going to play what is possibly the simplest guitar solo I will ever do, and I'm just going to use one note to do it, like this. Now, hopefully you will all agree that that is incredibly boring. It's very, very dull. Now, the fact that it's only on one note doesn't help, but you know, there are examples of songs where one note guitar solos do exist, and I mean, it depends what else is going on in the songs, whether or not that works or not, but you can make that a lot more interesting even just sticking on the one note by varying the rhythm that you are playing. So let's try it again, shall we? I'll just use the one note, but this time I'm going to add some rhythmic variation into it. Hopefully you can agree that time around, okay, we're still only using one note, but it was a lot more interesting. There was a lot more going on there. Just by varying that rhythm, even though we're only on the one note, we've instantly made the guitar solo a lot more compelling. Let's pick another example. This time I'm just going to go up and down the A minor pentatonic scale in quite a dull, rhythmically boring fashion. Now, I think we'll all agree if that was the guitar solo in a song, you'd probably be turning it off, because that has practically no interest whatsoever. The only interest in playing that is if you're learning the scale. But even if I don't change the order of the notes, which if I was improvising or composing my own solo, I certainly would do, if I just stick with that order of notes and change the rhythm, I can make it a lot more compelling. So instantly, even though really I'm just going up and down the scale, it's a lot more interesting to listen to straight away. Let's go through the basics of some of those rhythmic variations I've been using in those solos. So, the basics of rhythm. I don't want this to turn into a music theory lesson, but hopefully we can discuss this very, very quickly. I think you'll all know most music is in 4/4 time. Not all, you know, you get 3/4, very common, 2/4, so very common. You also get, you know, if you love prog rock like me, you get 5s and 7s and 9s and 13s, but we'll stay away from that for the moment and we'll stick with 4/4. So imagine we're in 4/4 time. The longest note you'll usually have that covers the whole bar or measure is a whole note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And then we can divide the notes up, half them and then half them again and then half them again, and we'll get all our usual varying rhythm notes, the notes that last varying lengths of time to build up a rhythm. So we've got our whole note lasts for 4 beats, then we've got half note lasts for 2 beats, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 16th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And depending on how good your technique is, I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying, you can get 30 seconds, 64ths, etc. right down to stupidly quick notes. So that's the basic of subdivisions of rhythm, and the basis of what I was doing when I was playing those guitar solos earlier. In addition to that, we can also have what are called dotted notes. So if you imagined when we played the half note there, what we did is we split the whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4, up into 2 equal lengths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. You don't have to split them up equally. You can use dotted notes, and what that means is you have, instead of a half and a half, you have 3/4 and a quarter. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, what we would do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the other way around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And those subdivisions work as you go down into the quicker notes. So let's imagine we did that with quarter notes. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, if we were to play the dotted notes like we were doing previously, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can apply exactly the same principle to all the quicker notes as well. So that's the basis of rhythm and rhythmic subdivisions. One other thing I'd like to talk about is syncopation. This is where you're not playing on the beat. So if I were to say, I'll just play some very simple notes, and while I will count the beat and I will syncopate what I'm playing on the guitar, I play in between the beat. So if I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's on the beat. Let's add in some syncopation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can see I'm playing in the gaps between my counting there. That's a very useful technique for building rhythmic tension. Now you may well know that in music we have something called resolving, where you can use harmony and melody to create a bit of tension and then resolve that tension, and it's like a release. It's like a ah. And you can see that chord there when I went from that, so D, G, A, and D sus4, that sounds like it wants to go somewhere else, and that's the resolving that I'm talking about. But you can also do that rhythmically. So when I was playing the syncopation there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So where I ended on the beat there, that resolves that rhythmic tension, which is another very useful technique, perhaps underused in guitar soloing. A bit of general advice when we're talking about using rhythm. One technique, one method of varying rhythm is think of some quick notes followed by a long sustained note, and then perhaps a long sustained note followed by some quick notes, and vary it like that. I shall try and illustrate what I mean by that. So you can see what I was trying to do there was sustain on a long note, play some quicker notes, sustain on a long note, play some quicker notes, and it's a good way of taking a basis and adding in some rhythmic variation to make it more interesting. One of the advantages of this, of course, is that whilst you are playing that long sustained note, you can be thinking of what you're going to play next. Holding that A, okay, now I'm going to go drop down to the E and play the rest of the descending A minor pentatonic. that sort of thing. So as well as adding a bit of rhythmic interest to your solos, it also allows you a bit of thinking space as well. Hopefully this discussion of rhythmic variation in guitar soloing has been interesting for you. I have made a couple of backing tracks that you can use to practice these ideas in this guitar soloing series. I've put them on YouTube. I shall link them in the description below. Please feel free to use these to practice over, to improvise over, and use some of the ideas in this course. Why not try improvising over one of them and trying to add in some rhythmic variation to your soloing. If you want to use those videos as a basis for your own video where you post a video of you improvising over those tracks, I'm completely fine with that. I'm very happy for you to do that, and indeed I would encourage you to do that. That would be fantastic. I hope you found this video interesting. Please continue with the series and watch the next video in the series where we're going to study using vibrato as part of your playing. Something that is used a lot, but I think is actually much underused in the way guitarists do their vibrato. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little subscribe button down there underneath the video playing screen. It really does help me out if you subscribe to the channel, so thank you very much in advance. You can also hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when I post a new video. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Paul Douglas, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.